Hey everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Best of Grow Wealthy Grooming. I am your host, River Lee, and I'm the founder of the Savvy Groomer, where I teach you guys to go from being burnt out, broken, to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on your terms. So today's episode is sponsored by Group Mentoring. This month in Group Mentoring, we're going to be teaching you guys the Price Increase Masterclass live. We'd love to see you guys there. Now, if you'd just rather buy the Price Increase Masterclass self-study, you are absolutely more than welcome to do just that. All right, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode.
This is going to be all about how to lose a customer over $5. Now, we have talked a bunch about all of the soulmate clients, right? We've talked about how to identify them, who they are, who they're not. Give me 1 second. My cat is actually trying to, here he comes. I know, he is just, he's coming. I don't know when he's coming, but he's gonna definitely jump on my keyboard or on my face or something. So here we go. I'm gonna move my keyboard because he is definitely gonna jump on it. No, don't go near the keyboard. Come here. Just sit here and relax. Turquoise Lawyer is saying a 14-year-old son. I know. Why do they love to make us feel old? Don't make me feel old. Listen, child. When you make me feel young and pretty, that's when you get things that you probably shouldn't get, like extra ice cream or whatever. I digress. So with our soulmate clients, we talked a lot about how to do the right thing, but what we didn't really get to do is talk about the wrong thing. And this doesn't always pertain to soulmate clients, but I think it's important to talk about when people are talking about price increases and things like that, and their customer leaves them over $5. Now, I actually had a recent situation where I left a business over $5. And it's really interesting because it really was on principle. It had nothing to do with the money. In fact, I knew I was getting a great deal, but it was just the way it made me feel bad. And I would rather pay more and feel good than pay less and feel bad. So let me tell you about my personal experience, and then I want to go into grooming examples. So the long story short is my friend and I have been working out in our building. Our building has a private gym. Yes, it's very fancy. It's actually not super fancy, but it makes me feel very fancy. And one of the tenants is a personal trainer at a nicer gym. And so he was amazing. He's like, no, we can definitely do some kettlebells. We can start working you guys out. I am not a good, and I did tell him this to begin with. I said, listen, I really hate working out. I literally would rather set myself on fire, which I know is very dramatic. So you already know, I warned him, I said, I'm very dramatic. I don't want to be when I'm working out, but I feel better when I whine. I just want to complain the entire time. And I just want to be a Karen. Not really a Karen, more of I guess I would be a Becky, just complaining. Every time I pick up the kettlebell, I want to go, ugh, I hate this. And every time he's like, oh, do 25 sit-ups. I'll be like, no. I want to be pathetic. I'm also pathetic when I'm sick. Have you guys ever seen Big Bang Theory? When Sheldon Cooper is I want a blankie, I want soup, and I want someone to sing to me. Yes, soft kitty. So I'm pathetic when I work out, but I had a personal trainer for many years, and we had a great relationship, and he would just laugh off that I was whiny, and he'd just be nice to me. And honestly, it was great. It'd be like, no. And he'd be like, but think of your booty. And I'm like, fine. And he'd be like, do this workout and you'll get and then you can have an entire tub of Halo ice cream. And I'm like, yes, I agree, but I'm still not happy. And we had this beautiful relationship. And I went to a private gym that had, it was only personal trainers. And I paid a lot for that personal training gym. I paid, I want to say at least 10 grand a year. I went at least 2 to 3 days a week, sometimes as many as 5 days a week. And my personal trainer was amazing. I loved him. I still love him. I hated the gym. They moved the gym to a new location, and the new location is just uncomfortable. It's basically a giant warehouse with giant glass. So you're either freezing or sweating. And the acoustics are very awkward. They're very loud, and it's very unpleasant for me. So if I could have gotten my personal trainer to come to, I love that everyone loves my hair up. I'm so sorry. I'm getting a message that people love my braid. This is like the 5th compliment I've gotten about my hair. Maybe I need to do this more often. I love it so much. I really do. My friend braided it for me. I feel like I'm like a little girl. I'm like, my friend braided my hair for me. Thank you guys. I love it too. Especially because I didn't have to wash or blow dry my hair. Anyway, back to the story. So I had a previous experience with a high-end personal trainer who I adored. And I had only left because I didn't love the new facility. I moved to Newport. It was too far. It gave me a great excuse to bunk out. So long story short, when I was starting this personal trainer, I already knew what to expect from a personal trainer. And the price he had given me was much lower than I expected. So it was going to be, I'm so sorry, a piece of cat hair under my nose. It's driving me crazy. So I had been used to paying, like I said, like 10 grand for, let's say that's 3 days a week. I'll do my math. Because it averaged about 3, but if I skipped a week, I would do 5 and 5. Let's say, so 3 times 52 weeks. So that's 156 sessions. So let's do, what is 10 grand? So it was about $65 per session. So it wasn't cheap. It wasn't the most expensive. I think if it was like per time, it would be 100, and then I bought these giant packages. So it was $65 a session. So when this personal trainer had offered an hour for 2 of us for $75, I was like, wow, that's super cheap. Because normally I would be paying a minimum of $65 for just me. And this I can pay per time, and that would have been $100 for me. And so is Buddy working out. So I was like, this is great. He lives in the building. I wanted to do 6 a.m. from 6 to 7, bring my kid to school. Perfect timing. So we were working out, and then I realized like I'm in a lot of pain, and I had fallen and gotten hurt back in October. And honestly, like because of COVID, I'm not moving. There's nowhere to go. Normally I'd be going to a walk in the woods, and then I would get Starbucks and warm up, and then I would go somewhere else. But because of COVID, there's not really any of that going on. So I've definitely gained weight. I'm definitely not working out as much. I used to go to yoga classes or to other things. I'm just not going to any of these things. I can't work out with a mask on. It makes me feel like I'm suffocating. I just can't. Like I almost pass out. So that's where I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll start with 2 half hours. And I said, okay, how much is a half hour? And he said, well, it was 75, but let's, and cut that in half. It'd be like 37.50. He's like, so let's just round up to 40. And I said, 40 for 2 of us is very cheap. More than happy to do that. So we do this for a few weeks. We're working 2 days a week for 30 minutes, and it's really hard working out. And I already noticed that there's definitely tension between us because I warned him in the beginning. I said, listen, I'm very annoying and I like to whine. And he would just be kind of mean. Like, again, the old trainer would be like, but think how beautiful you'll look this summer. Like if I whined. And that's what I wanted to pay for. It's not just basically babysitting me while working out, but keeping me motivated, even though I hate it. So, and I did warn him ahead of time, but he would say some kind of mean things like, you don't need to be here if you don't want to be. And I'm like, that's not what you should be saying to me. And again, I would say to him, hey, like, I'm sorry. I did tell you, like, this is the way I can get through this. It's kind of like when I was giving birth to my son, when I was in labor, I just kept saying sorry habitually. Like everything was just sorry. And it was just the way that I expressed my pain. So some people grunt really loud, some people yell, and some people whine. Some people cry. It's just the way I'm expelling my frustration. Alternatively, in grooming school, both dog and cat grooming school, I cried a lot because if I'm frustrated, I have to get that energy out. And it's, it's generally like whining, crying, or yelling. So pick one. And it's not, no one's perfect. And in fact, so I know I'm an unreasonable customer. So let's put that out there. I'm getting a deal and I'm a bad customer. So, he was saying these really negative things. And honestly, it's not so much that he was saying these negative things, but it just didn't make me feel good. So already I wasn't feeling that great about the workout. I was like, oh, this isn't working well. And it was just very much like he didn't enjoy it. And I know he didn't enjoy it, but it is what it is. I did tell you. Fast forward to a few weeks and we ended up adding a third person. Now, they were not a friend of ours. They're just some other person in the building. And he asked, can she join us? I said, absolutely, not a problem. I would love to have this extra person join us. Why not? Yes, Erin, I can be a Becky. We all can be, we all have our buttons. And there's certain things that we can be awful and entitled people to. No one's perfect. I wish I was, but I'm not. But anyway, guys, so we add this third person. I'm thinking this is really nice. Like we can add this third person. It's going to give him more money. So it was $60 for the three of us. And I'm like, oh, that's great. It's $20 each. I mean, you cannot beat it. It's super cheap. So what happens? Well, this other girl is going on vacation this week. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to go back down to the 40. And I knew that the other girl I was working out with, she was contemplating, she was also taking the week off. I don't know why everyone was taking this week off instead of last week off. Well, it makes sense, actually. They don't have kids. And my son's February vacation was last week. And so this week, they have it off. And I had said, well, how much is it if it's just me? Because I honestly had never considered that. And he said, oh, it'll be $40. And I'm like, well, that sucks, but I get it. Who wants to get up at like 6:15 for less than $40? I'm a morning person. I'm up anyway, but it makes sense. And I said, okay, well, if this other person, my friend, and I work out together, how much is that? And he said, oh, 50. And I'm like, 50? But it was 40 for the two of us before we added the third person. And he's like, yeah, but now it's, he didn't even say, yeah, now it's 50. He didn't even acknowledge that. It was just this whole rambling, convoluted text about being $50. And I was like, but I don't understand. Like, you added this other person. We did that out of a courtesy to you because we were trying to be nice. There were twice where we went over our 30 minutes to 45 minutes, just working out. And I had even given him extra money for that. He didn't ask me for extra money, but I had given him an extra $10, saying like, I'm so sorry we ran 15 minutes over. Let me make that money up to you. And so I only went from $20 to $25. That's not a lot of money at all. In fact, it's significantly cheaper than the other guy. But this is how you lose a customer over $5. You don't make me feel good when I'm there for your service. You make me feel irrelevant and like I'm bothering you. Right? So we have no deep connection. You haven't made that connection. And we're going to talk more about grooming, but it's even more so important in grooming because this person's hanging out with me 30 minutes during the workout, where we only see our customers for maybe 10, 15, tops 30 minutes if they're a new client or if you have a long check-in process. So you don't make me feel good. You don't make me feel special. You don't make me feel cared or wanted in any way. And then I do you a favor by, adding a person. We could have said no. We were more than happy to do that. And on top of that, and it was like all these things through my head. I'm like, well, maybe it's because it's so early. But then I'm like, but if it's a problem with being early, why wouldn't he say something? Why wouldn't he just say, hey, if you want to keep the price at 40, it needs to be at this time. Now, I have to drop my kid off at 7:30 and I need time to be done. Like, so that's why I like to do from 6:15 to 6:45, because in theory, he is dressed and ready to go. But 9 times out of 10, he has something with his uniform. Like, I swear he does this to make me crazy. His pants is inside out. His shirt is backwards. His belt's on wrong. You know, I swear he does it because he thinks it's funny, but it just makes me crazy. So I need it done by 7 the latest. So I can't do much earlier than that. Now, he doesn't really strike me as the kind of person who's a morning person. And he does work long hours at the gym he's at. But none of that was ever communicated to us. Ever. At no point did he say, hey, I just want to let you know that I really appreciate you taking on the third person. I want to let you know that if it's just going to be one of you, it'll be 40. And I need to increase for 2 people up to 50. Because very honestly, I don't want to get up in the morning, or I need to increase prices because insert reason. I gave you guys too sweet of a deal, and honestly, thinking about it, it needs to be higher. All of these things, maybe I wouldn't have accepted them, but it definitely wouldn't have lost them a client. You know, feeling like I'm not important, almost like I'm bothering him. It's like a negative feeling. And then to feel like this, I've done him a deal, I've been good to him, you know, the balance is off. The balance is off. And then I'm like, why am I even wasting my time and money? And that is a thing you never want a client to say. You never want a client to say, I would rather spend $40 more an hour and be treated well and go to somebody who actually gives a shit about me. Because I don't know if they're better or worse trainers. What I do know is I feel a lot better at my old gym. I felt sexy. I felt cared for. And again, like, not that he cares for me, but I felt like he actually cared about my progress. He actually cared about me taking care of my body. I felt like I mattered. And I don't think we really understand a lot of times as business owner how important those feelings really are. In a world right now where we are all struggling to not feel alone. I mean, I haven't seen my grandparents more than twice. Well, now it's almost been a year in person because of COVID. You know, my mother is the primary caregiver for my grandparents. So I miss her. I miss her a lot. And I don't get to see her as often because I've got to be so careful around her. You know, we are all, you know, dating. Dating is very weird during COVID because, like, how do you have a date? You gotta be very careful. So it's just more complicated. I can't go out and do things. So we're gaining significance more closely with these different things. And I don't think we really honor that or appreciate that. And so this person could have said to me, he honestly could have probably not quite doubled the price, but if he had said, listen, actually, yeah, he could have. He could have said to me, listen, I know I had quoted you $40 for the 2 of you guys. I just way underquoted you. You know, it's going to be probably like, let's say $80 for the 2 of you guys for a half an hour. Or if you want to do, or it's the same price for the hour as the half. Even if he had said that, I'd be like, I understand. I don't want to do an hour right now because your workouts are really intense and I can't walk afterwards. Like, I hate the feeling of my legs hurting and my arms hurting. I talk a lot with my hands. I have a lot of, like, this time of year, my hands are really sore. My legs, my body's really sore. I don't want to be more sore. So to me, if he had said to me again, you know, it's going to be the same if it's an hour or a half, I'd be okay with that. But what I'm not okay with is feeling like I bent over backwards to take care of him and then not feeling that reciprocated at all and not feeling valued and not having that baseline relationship. So without a further ado, then let's consider what that has to do with the grooming industry. Give me 1 second. I've just got to pull something up. Give me 1 second, you guys. I know, I'm trying not to get my face into the mic. I'm not gonna lie. I just want a screenshot where Erin Martin said, River, you are a Becky. Because it's just like, nobody's perfect. And I'm okay. I'm not okay with being a Becky. But what I am okay with is the fact that I know that there are certain things that I am that terrible client for. And I think it's so important for all of us to know when we are that terrible client, because then it allows us to have some compassion for our clients, because nobody's perfect. And even if they are perfect, you know, I'm currently looking for a photo. Erin still loves me. Thanks, Erin. I love you too. Listen, you know, it just comes down to, how do I put it? You know, and that's the thing is like your customer, if your customer is a Karen or a Becky with you, you have to decide, is that something you're willing to tolerate? Because my other trainer, I was a super loyal. I was a super loyal workout. I guess would it be workout? Is that what I would call myself? You know, and that was great. But yeah. As far as this other stuff goes, not so much. Erin is saying, I'm a terrible hair and pedicure client. I'm always late. Oh my goodness. I had no idea. The truth comes out. You know, all of us are not perfect. We're just not. And anyone who says they are perfect is a liar. It really comes down to what you are. And then just, you know, finding that person that, you know, will accept you and is happy to have that client. It's so interesting because there's so many clients that really are meant, like they're that soulmate client where they're just meant for. I know, don't mind me. I'm actually doing something behind the scenes because I done goofed it all up. This is why I need, like, listen, most days I'm really prepared and I'm really fantastic. And sometimes I'm like, I meant to add this and I just didn't. And now I feel like a jerk face. What are you going to do, right? It is what it is some days. It just is what it is. Oh my goodness. I am so embarrassed. This is why I need to edit this. So that way when people rewatch this and it's not live, they're like, wow, River, you did such a great first take. And I'm like, why, thank you. It's true. So she's saying, I'm so over the top to make up for it. And that's great. It's one of those things where you want to make sure that, you know, you make up for it in some other way. You can't always make up for it, but in theory, if you can, that's very nice. But, you know, no one's perfect. All right. Sorry about that. I was just doing something quick and I apologize for that. So in the grooming industry, what would this be like? A lot of times you guys want to increase prices, and I definitely think you should. We're actually going to be offering, the Savvy Groomer is going to be offering a 6-week class on price increases. I figured you meant over tip or like going over the top. Erin, I apologize, guys. Erin said, so I over top to make up for a tip. And that's kind of what I assumed. I thought she meant like she goes over the top as in like brings them like coffee and like tips, things like, hey, I'm a crappy client, but I bring you chocolate. And they're like, thank you. And we love those clients. We all have clients like that. And if you say you don't, you're a liar. Because there's definitely clients that are like, hey, I know I said I was going to be here at 9 and now it's 9:15, but I brought you coffee. And you're like, oh, I'm going to let that slide. So in the grooming industry, who would this person be? As far as, you know, instead, who would be the person that you would lose over $5? In the grooming industry, very often we want to do things like price increases. And price increases are super important, especially right now during COVID, where you guys probably have way more expenses. One of my coaching clients basically had to double her expenses. And because the truth is that a lot of the money that was dissipated just isn't there anymore. A lot of us either have not been open for months, or if we have been open, we've been open at lower capacity, or maybe we had to let employees go. You know, there's everything's gone up. Every shampoo manufacturer that I know And there could be some that haven't, but I haven't seen one that has not gone up even a few dollars, or used to give free shipping and now they don't. There's only so much you can do. So I definitely think we need price increases. But before you begin your price increases, and like I said, Savvy Groomer is going to be doing a 6-week class on how to increase pricing, is figure out, are you treating your customers well? Do you have your soulmate clients? And are you treating them well? Are you honoring their loyalty and cherishing them? Do they feel it? Do they feel appreciated? Do they feel cared for? Especially in this time of chaos. Do they know you appreciate them, or do they just feel like a number? The reason that we can often charge double than what Petco does is because when I go into Petco, and I have gone to Petco, it might have been PetSmart, I'm not positive. See? Can't even tell you if it was Petco or PetSmart. That's how generic they are. I brought my standard poodle in because I was not going to do it. My employees, I didn't expect them to do it before Christmas. I got in right away. I could not tell you the girl's name who groomed my dog. She didn't talk to me. She just asked, "What do you want?" Looked at my dog, took my dog. I got a text my dog was done. She handed me my dog, and I went home. And for some of us, that's what we want. For some clients, that's what we want. But the same way I could go to a gym and work out and be treated indifferently and being treated like I don't matter. And then I've got the client, like, I should say not client, or because I'm not an easy client. But my old personal trainer always made me feel valued. He would message me things like, "Hey, I found this recipe and I have a lot of food allergies." And he would send me the recipe and be like, "Hey, I was thinking about you. This is a great recipe you may want to try. It's a great way," whatever it was. And I didn't ask for it. He would just send it and show me that he was thinking of me. Now, we had a closer relationship than a lot of grooming because we only see our pet clients generally once a month. And I saw him at least 2 or 3 days a week. But things can be relative too. Every few months, are you contacting them for a reason other than, do you want an appointment? Are you saying, "Hey, just checking in to see how you like Fluffy's haircut. I just want to see how you're feeling and how you and your family are getting along. We're just thinking about you, and, we know," insert personal detail, "I'm sure Sally, your daughter, must be so sad to not have soccer this year. That must be very tough on her. Is your husband, how's your husband doing? Are you guys that kind of couple?" You don't have to go too personal, but depends on how close you are to that client. And some clients do want their privacy and they do want their space. And you should be able to figure that out. And it's generally pretty obvious. Like when people come in, you say, "Oh, how's your day?" And you people that are like dumping on you because they're so desperate for communication. And then you have other customers that are very much like, "Oh, fine, thank you." Just very, And that's somebody you would talk obviously more about their pet than their personal life. But creating that connection, what is that connection to you? And it can obviously be the pet. Be like, "Well, I really love that Fluffy, I really appreciate, even though COVID, that, Fluffy's never mad. I just want to say how much I appreciate that." Or sending a little card with a picture of Fluffy in it. And just saying, "Hey, we took this picture at the spa, at the grooming salon with Fluffy and Erin." Let's throw Erin in there. And it's a picture of Erin holding Fluffy. We just thought it was so precious. We wanted to send it to you. We love Fluffy and we're so grateful that you're a client. And I know you can't do that for 1,200 clients. When I had my grooming salon, I had 1,200 clients. 1,200. But that is the difference between creating a connection and not creating a connection. And the way you lose a customer over $5 is having zero connection and making them feel like they're indifferent. Because if the people that would leave you over $5 don't give a crap about you, and vice versa. And a lot of times they don't give a crap about you because you don't give a crap about them. And I know it's really unfortunate, but it's just the truth. It's too often that we want these perfect clients. We want the client that gets groomed every 4 weeks. We want the client who doesn't care what we charge. We want the client that, does all of these things. But really, what are we doing for them? And I'm not saying we need to bend over backwards and be people's doormats. But besides a good haircut, what is it that makes that client feel appreciated? In this month's Savvy Groomer Business Membership, it's a mouthful, isn't it? Savvy Groomer Business Membership. We're going to be talking about attracting our soulmate clients, but we're also going to be talking about how to retain our soulmate clients. And I cannot tell you how important it is that we make sure these clients feel appreciated. Because in a world where we have tons of competition, you need to stand out. And the way you stand out and don't lose a customer over $5 is making them feel important and cared for. And just making their dog feel important isn't enough. Because if this had been my son's, person, unless if he had a very deep connection with my son, I'd probably be like, this guy's an asshole. Why is he jacking my price up? Like, I let another kid show up. I never complained. Like, I complained during the workout, but like, if there was anything that needed to be shifted or anything, I always moved around his schedule. Except for complaining during the appointment, which can be very annoying if you find that very annoying. And that's where you don't accept clients that have annoying things that you hate. I was a model person. I always showed up on time. I never expected him to stay late. Even if we were finishing up something, I would be like, oh, I have like 20 more crunches to go. You go to your daughter's. It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And if you want these higher end clients, you have to keep them in a way. There's a big difference if you guys have ever shopped at somewhere like Nordstrom versus Walmart or even Target. Like when I go into Nordstrom, not that I do it often, but, I remember going and buying my Danskos, my shoes for grooming. Everyone has them pretty much. They're ugly as sin, but they're super good for your feet. I would always go buy them at Nordstrom. I didn't care that they were a little bit more than like the cheaper or the online stores, because I would have someone sit there with me and help me find the exact ones because they're all hand stretched. So we might go through 40 pairs because my left foot's a little smaller than my right foot. And so this person would spend the time to make sure I had the right fit, and we wouldn't be different sizes, actual sizes, but because they were hand stretched, like the right one on this pair might fit better than the left pair. And so we would take a left out of a bunch of them and try them on. And that level of care is extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. It just is. It feels really nice. And that's why people pay more. Because just a good haircut is not enough. Because honestly, a good haircut is subjective. Now, you and I can look at somebody and go, that is a damn good haircut. But we used to have a saying in my shop, and I know it's kind of bad to admit because I really want it to be a different way. But the truth is, customers don't see that extra 30 minutes of scissoring. They really don't. And if they do, that's a client who values vanity. And that's not bad. But that wasn't my ideal client. My ideal client just wanted their pet cute, clean, and comfortable. They didn't care if they got the world's best haircut. Excuse you. You're in my shot. You're coming back in my lap. He's like, no, you will not contain me. Don't tell me what to do. So anyway, guys, you have to know what your ideal client values. I personally do not want someone who values the best haircut. I want somebody who values being taken care of, because that I can control. That is really easy for me. It is very hard to keep certified master groomers employed. And I don't want to groom every pet. Now, it is a little bit easier with the CFMG because, there's way less for me to train for somebody who's a CFMG versus a certified master groomer as far as a dog groomer. And I think you should always strive for whatever your best is and create a standard of excellence. That said, I promise you, if you just make someone feel really, really good, they're not going to leave you over $5. In fact, they're probably not going to leave you over $40. You want to make sure that they feel appreciated. And if you don't, guess what you're going to do? That's how you lose a customer over $5. Now, coming up in, sorry guys, just trying to do it all. Coming up next month, if you guys are interested, I would love to see you guys at the Massachusetts Association of Pet Professionals Virtual Educational Conference. It's going to be March 13th and 14th, and I'm actually teaching a class all about getting clients on purpose. What's really nice about this is not only are we going to talk about our soulmate clients, we're also going to talk about how to get clientele that we actually want and that work for us. So you have two great opportunities in the month of March to learn more about marketing to soulmate clients and getting the things that you need. So whether you join us in the Savvy Groomer business membership, or I really suggest you sign up for the Massachusetts Association of Pet Professional Educational Conference, because that will also help that'll help a local, well, not local, but it'll help. It's local for me. But, it's going to be my goal to do as many of these state association virtual conferences because they will help them grow. I'm also going to be doing one for California in March, and that's all about business budgets. I'm really excited about that. I know it's off topic for today, but there's lots of great ones coming up. I will be updating my list of conferences, hopefully tomorrow. So if you guys want to know what conferences and what classes I'm teaching, if you go to savvygroomer.com and in my About page, I will be listing the ones that I do, and I will be linking the sales pages. So you guys can go do that, support these state associations. We're going to need these state associations to help us grow in a way that the industry can get some standardization and hopefully some sort of, licensing. I would like to see sanitation and safety licensing. And I think the best way for us to do that is to do these state associations, and they need funding and they need our help. So I am very honored to be doing one for Massachusetts as well as another one for California in the month of March. So I want to do my quick sales pitch, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to post them and I'd love to answer you. I know today went a little long and it was more story time than it was, but I hope the story time really allowed you to see how little things add up. And a lot of times what we're focusing on isn't the problem. Your problem isn't that your Bichon head isn't perfect. Your problem isn't that you need to learn how to hand strip. Your problem is generally you're either very disorganized, very overwhelmed, or you're trying so hard to fit so many dogs in that you're not connecting with your clients. And if you want that, ideal or soulmate client, you really need to connect to them. The only person that doesn't give a crap and still buys from a store is someone like a Walmart, maybe a Target. But I don't know anybody who would buy at Target that if they found out the same product was somewhere cheaper, they're probably going to go there. Versus somebody who, let's say we use the Starbucks, Dunkin', McDonald's. My Starbucks people, we're not going to McDonald's. You could give us free McDonald's coffee. We're not drinking it. You could give me, I remember customers would give me Dunkin' Donuts gift cards and I'd be like, I don't want this. And I would just give it to other people. Like, thank you. And just give it to my groomers because I didn't want it because I wanted Starbucks. And that was fine. I appreciate the gift, but that's who I was. That's the level of care I want now. Starbucks has gone down, but we don't need to talk about that right now. But at the time, Starbucks, every day I walked in, they'd be like, hey, River, how's your day? When I was pregnant with my son, they would say, oh, how's Ronan feeling today? Is he kicking along? And that's obviously someone that sees me once a day. And the trainer was somebody who sees me 2 to 3 times a week. But that means even more. You have to connect with somebody that you only see every 4, 6, 8 weeks. Anyone more than 8 weeks, you're not going to make a connection. Just not. You see your dentist probably almost as much as that person.
Thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. If you guys are interested in learning more about group mentoring, be sure to visit me at savvygroomer.com/group. Group mentoring meets weekly on Mondays, where I answer all your questions and coach fellow group members. On top of the quarterly masterclasses offered, we also receive 1 workshop per quarter, 1 weekly group coaching call, plus playbacks of past calls, and the Savvy team support in our private Facebook group. Thank you guys all so much for joining me in this episode of Best of Grow Wealthy Grooming. Be sure to visit me at savvygroomer.com to see my current opportunities to work with me in growing your pet grooming business, plus so many free resources for you to learn. And if you guys want, you guys can always join my free Facebook community, Savvy Pet Professionals. And as always, guys, happy grooming.